Cheers. Why do we play sports? I'm going to talk about a difficult topic, which is trans in sports. And before I do, I'd like to say that I am not transphobic. I don't have a problem with trans, gay, lesbian, bi, whatever, it's fine with me.
So, what if gender dysphoria was this past life misunderstanding intruding on your current incarnation?
But it is different when you start talking about trans in sports. And I'm going to give a few examples to illustrate my point. Leah Thomas, 6'4", male to female, lived her life as a man until about the age of 21. And then it was at that point that she started taking hormones. And then after about a year and a half, she got permission to compete as a woman. Nothing wrong with that in principle, in theory, and that's what she did. And she competed and she won. But let's take a look at that. Once again, why do we play sports? We play sports to prove that we're the best. That's why you get a medal. That's why you get a trophy. That's why you get the big cash contracts. But what about some other people that push the envelope? Sarah Fuller, Vanderbilt football, Ellen Fukima, Netherlands soccer, Iri Yoshida, baseball, Japan, Charlotte Kajagus. Please forgive the pronunciation. I did my best. These were all cis females that played against men. Pro, semi-pro, collegiate. They were head and shoulders above their competition so much that in seeking out more competition, a greater challenge, they chose to play against the men. Those are some badass chicks. I would buy any one of them a drink today. That's the spirit of competition. That's the spirit that they were playing their sport in. When you look at that in comparison to Leah Thomas, it looks a little selfish. I think a better way for Leah to prove that she was the best would have been to compete against the men. After the hormone therapy, in a female bathing suit, to fight for the right to compete against the men. And if Leah would have won, hey, hands down, you're the best.
The world's heavyweight champion!
That furthers trans rights. And even if she didn't win, she still competes. She does her best. That's the point. That's why we play sports. And this is not the bathroom conversation. This is not Applebee's, which bathroom to use, the men's room or to use the women's room. When Leah goes into Applebee's to use the restroom, nobody's going to see her penis if she still has it. She's going to go into the stall, do her business, go back out to the restaurant, have a dinner, have a beer, who cares? But when she's competing in sports, this is what happened. She goes into the women's locker room. Many of the women didn't have any idea this was going to happen. And Riley Gaines, who won second place against her in that competition, was shocked to see this 6'4" human.
That's it! Hold it right there! Pronoun trouble.
Getting naked and trying not to stare at this person's penis. Who's the victim in that situation? Often, trans are the victims. In this case, it doesn't look like that so much. It's not quite so simple. Another way to look at it, another question, another illustration. There was a time when steroids was relatively novel, and people started using steroids in sports. Then someone found out. The shit hit the fan. All these athletes, many of whom were would-be Hall of Famers, multi-million dollar contracts. Many of them had records in the books. Lost their jobs, records were stricken from the books. You're never going to be in the Hall of Fame. And yeah, that baseball player hit a lot of home runs, but...
But what? Everyone I know has a big butt. Come on, Simone, let's talk about your big butt.
And when people look at the records that are made by people like Leah Thomas, there's always going to be that but. And that is why it's not furthering trans rights. That is the question, why do we play sports? And once again, I'm not transphobic. I'm just asking the questions differently in a less divisive way, looking at the common good. Cheers.